Better late than never. Greetings, everyone. This is another episode of Taco Tuesday. Tear a car open, and I begin to go through some cars, and the reason most of them are being taken apart is because I intend to use them on another project, and I want to show you some of the parts that are inside the car. And I have a tendency to use a lot of some of the cool parts. A lot of the castings nowadays have cool engine inserts or cool details. Or the biggest reason why a lot of cars are taken apart is for the wheels. I'm starting to see a few more chassis swaps, which is kind of neat because that's something I've always been a fan of. But I went to a little thrift store / antique mall, and all an antique mall is somebody that's really proud of their stuff, and they overcharge for a lot of things. And you'll see a lot of single Hot Wheels for $5 or $10 because they're old. And you can wheel and deal on these guys because if they're in a thrift shop, they're not collectible. Every now and then you'll come across something interesting, but for the most part they're not collectible. So I started a project here. I'm a big fan of Ferraris. I try to collect the red Ferraris. Hint, hint for anybody out there. I do like the red Ferraris, and I've got a pretty good collection. But this yellow one was pretty cool. And I found a really cool set of wheels from one of the movie Hot Wheels. It was the Thunderbird from Stoker Ace. It's a cool set of real riders. And this model, or this era of race cars, this is the Ferrari 250 LM. It just looked natural on it. It was the right size axle, right size wheels, everything. And this car here in particular, I did some minor details. I am going to be doing a little bit more on the interior, and I'll show you this. This is not the car I'm referring to, but I did want to show that in here I've covered one of the seats just temporary in vinyl to see what it would look like. On Thursday I'll talk more about where to get these vinyl samples. But for the most part, this car had an engine compartment. You could see through this back window here, and it was just a subtle hint of the air intake on the engine. And all of that is this top piece and this raised injected, it's just part of the casting. So looking for a little bit more realistic engine, I found this classic Lesney Miura. This is a very cool car. Now, Lesney in the old days, what made Hot Wheels so popular is their wheels sucked. And they didn't roll very well, and it had the thick axle and everything, and Hot Wheels came along and just kicked butt. But nonetheless, Lesney was pretty innovative when they were coming out with their cars. And there's a lot of diehard collectors out there, and I'll try to put a couple links to some of the better collectors. In the 70s, they responded to Mattel and came out with their super fast logo. But early on, a lot of the innovations, this car in particular has, open doors, pretty good details, very true to the actual car. I mean, the scale is just dead on. If you look at an actual late 60s, early 70s Miura from Lamborghini, it's pretty awesome. Miura managed to fit a V12 engine in the mid-center, the midsection. It's more toward the rear, but it's actually the midsection in Car Talk. So Lesney did a great job with this car, and it's not so much that it's got open doors, but one of the things, and it's just one of the things that's cool, is they innovated a steering mechanism. And if you can see this is a patented piece, and this is not as collectible as you would think, but basically it's just got some tension-mounted plastic pieces here that allows for steering. Now, you couldn't functionally use this as a steerable car, but it was kind of a nice feature. What I wanted this car for was this engine insert, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, that's a pretty shiny piece of plastic. It's probably chrome or something. Kind of shows through, super detailed. It's definitely a V12 because that's what was used in the Miura. So I take the car apart, and I want to show you something very cool. First of all, the plastic is clear, and what I'll come back to this. pretty straightforward. You know, the windscreen is actually riveted into the body. Very clear plastic, very pliable plastic, good quality stuff. Interior, a lot more detailed than it needs to be, but definitely kind of cool and to scale. But this is the cool thing. Here's what it looks like on the inside, with the plastic piece here and just the simple arrow shape here to kind of give it the tension that it needs for the steering mechanism. And I hope you guys can see this. Again, this is Lesney before they became Matchbox. But this piece right here, this entire base, except for this piece and the actual plastic for the tires, is all metal. The axle was riveted in place. This bridge here is all part of this base casting. This engine, all part of this base casting. One solid piece. You wouldn't see that anywhere. And I'm not going to end up taking this apart. I am going to try to find a different set of wheels. And while I'm more a fan of the free rolling axles, and an example of a free rolling axle is when the wheels can roll independently of each other, and it just makes for a smoother running vehicle. A lot of M2 castings, they all have single axle, and here's an example of a truck where you just roll one side and both sides roll. So free rolling axle, but for this part I think M2 is going to be my source for the tires on this particular casting. I plan on doing a back hinge on this. I'm going to have to find another Lesney to do it because this crease line is really, really fine. This car, the rear opened up to the rear to expose the tire. It did have a forward opening front, and I think I could pull it off to have the tires and to have the doors open and the wheel, the hood or the bonnet or whatever you want to call it, open up. But this is an incredible casting. I almost regret taking it apart, but I probably just would have gone in the junk bin had it not taken it apart. So if you Google what this chassis looks like in real life, it is something that can be built up and worked around. There's plenty of real estate on the inside that you could actually do a more detailed interior. I plan on, like I said, I'll have to cut this rear part off. And this will just go back together as it is. It's pretty impressive, but again, for this, I'd have to take another vehicle to do this complex cut to do this canopy. I'm a big fan of these early 70s Can-Am racers, your Scarabs and your just open air vehicles. So that's it. Want to say thanks, Seth, for connecting with me. I got your address, and I'm going to do a Technique Thursday to follow up with that, and then you're getting one big old cool headache. So I'm going to start paying more attention to my subscribers and to the cars that they like, particularly the customizers. I'm going to focus on some of the earlier subscribers, definitely Pooch, and I'm going to connect with other customizers in the community. There's a lot of cool stuff going on out there. But because I don't sell my customs, Seth is the first example. Just do collaboration builds, and I'm going to be sending Seth out his Datsun 510 wagon, I think it's called, or the 610 wagon, and see what he can do, and just kind of a way to connect. Anyway, sorry for the blabbering. I hope you guys enjoy.